Hey, what's up, guys? It's Ryan. Thank you for watching. I'm here in my home streaming setup right now. Usually I use this on my Twitch, which is over there in the corner. MC Hype on Twitch. I like to play some games and whatnot. Today, kind of a follow-up to a video I made a year ago. You can see it on the screen right there. The Netflix approved cameras and what's the cheapest, where I looked at cameras and checked out what they cost and everything else. Today, I want to look at some specific shows on Netflix and see if we can find out what the cameras they used were and kind of what it would cost to purchase or maybe rent those cameras. I always thought that would be fun. I like looking at shows, movies, seeing what kind of gear they use, seeing just learning everything about them, really. So if you're here, that's the type of place this is. That's the kind of thing I'm into. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the likes and subs. Let's get into it. I think the first one we'll look at, because I was starting to pull this up and I was like, let's just do this together. So I started the video. The first show on Netflix I was looking at was Ozark. Ozark uses the Panasonic VariCam 35. I brought it up. There it is. The VariCam 35 4K HDR professional cinema camera via the Panasonic site. The MSRP is $55,000. So if I needed a VariCam 35, I would click on this button right here, where to rent. And then it gives you a bunch of rental centers. You can do this with kind of higher end cinema cameras. There you go. Panasonic VariCam 35. The daily rate is $950. So with these higher end cameras, I mean, that costs as much as a used GH5 or, you know, something in that range. Maybe for $950, you could get the old Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. Maybe a fair conditioned Pocket Cinema 4K. Or you could rent the VariCam 35 for $950 a day. So you're going to want something of a budget. Now, keep in mind, on top of that, it says from my research, Ozark uses the Cooke S4 lens set. See, so if you were to buy, there's some Cooke minis, $42,000 for the set there. So you're in the range with a show like this, a high budget show on Netflix, where you're obviously going to need a budget and you're going to need to rent a bunch of stuff. So this isn't your one-man band, small independent production, which would be my situation, or maybe yours if you were doing like an independent thing. But as I pointed out in the first video I made, which I'll link up there, about the Netflix cameras, these are approved for Netflix originals. You can shoot on other stuff. We've had this discussion in the comments. If you make something good enough, you may be able to sell it to Netflix. It doesn't matter what you shot it on. Maybe you shot it on your phone. But if you're shooting a Netflix original for them, then you've obviously secured a budget, a team, the whole thing, and you're going to rent this stuff. Regardless, fun to look at. Here on ShareGrid, let's see what we can rent a Cooke S4 Prime set. $175 a day for that whole set. The 18 to 100, the 25 to 250, the 15 to 40. So, you know, with the lenses and the camera rental, we're up to over $1,000 a day to rent that set. But there you go. That's interesting. Just a quick look at that one. Let's move on. Obviously, we'll get to Stranger Things, and I already know what they shoot on for that show, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit. The Haunting of Hill House. If you haven't seen that, you know, scary movie, they actually use another expensive camera for that. It's an Arri. It's the Alexa 65. Now, you have to rent these right from Arri. I don't know if you can rent them any other way. Now, of course, you go to their site, they've got all sorts of stuff. They've got lenses, they've got everything you could rent. It's always a bad sign when they want you to get in touch with them. Like, oh, we'll tell you how much it is. Just give us a call. But again, when you're using cameras like this, you're definitely working with a budget. You didn't just decide to shoot a short film that weekend. Unless you know somebody you can borrow an Arri 65 from, because I'm pretty sure you can't buy stuff like that. So, but that's what they use, an Arri 65. You'd have to give Arri a call. Maybe we'll call them one of these days and see what they can hook us up with. Then they use Prime 65 and Prime 65S lenses, another rental. Arrested Development, there's a good show on Netflix. They use also the Panasonic VariCam. They use the Panasonic VariCam LT, which I think is a little cheaper, a lot cheaper. Let's see. There you go. It's a Super 35 digital cinema camera. I'm surprised at that price right there. So this is from Texas Media Systems. Interestingly enough, I ordered gear from this company. This is just a coincidence. They don't sponsor me or anything, but I got my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras, 2 of them from Texas Media Systems, and the ATEM Mini for streaming. It's got 4 HDMI inputs, and you can change through the channels live and everything. Super cool. If you haven't seen that, look that up. It's great. It's in place of a capture card like an Elgato or whatever else, and it's like a live switcher board. I digress, but I've ordered from Texas Media Systems before. So there's the Panasonic VariCam LT 4K. I'm surprised. 10 grand for Arrested Development. They use Fujinon lenses, Fujinon zooms. Again, a little bit more affordable stuff as far as a purchase rate, as opposed to the other VariCam we looked at. So, I mean, I don't have 10 grand to just buy a body of a VariCam, but more in the realm of reality for Arrested Development. They shoot in Vlog, which if you're a Panasonic shooter, GH5 shooting a Vlog Lite, and then they actually included Vlog in their newer cameras. The S5, the new S5 from Panasonic, which is a mirrorless camera for about 2 grand, has the log that they're shooting in for this show, which is super cool. They also used a Red Epic at some point on that show as well. And of course, Netflix, they use Reds for a bunch of stuff too. So let's see what else. Black Mirror, one of my favorites. I finally just watched the most recent season, the one with Miley Cyrus in it. I always enjoy Black Mirror. I'm a big fan of Twilight Zone and stuff like that. And of course, it's like a dark modern Twilight Zone. They've used the Alexa 65, which we talked about. They've used a Red Dragon, a Red Epic, and an Arri Alexa. Let's look at a couple of those. The Arri Alexa, there's several of those too. You've got the Mini, you've got the LF. Again, you can go to Arri and you can rent directly from them. So if you're trying to get an Arri and you want to rent it, go to them. You can buy older Alexas. Let's go to eBay. I've seen people who've purchased, like, continue as the Fortnite dads. I'm sorry, Google. The Fortnite dads, me and a buddy, both dads, started playing some Fortnite during the whole lockdown and everything. Made some Fortnite dad videos on YouTube if you want to check those out. You can buy used older Arris. Let's see if we can pull one up here. There it is. Okay, so that's the Arri Alexa Classic. You can buy these. So 7 grand. I've seen them a lot cheaper than 7 grand actually. there's an Arri Amira, the Alexa Amira viewfinder, for as much as you could buy several mid-range cinema cameras like a C200 or a Ursa Mini Pro 2 or whatever. Okay, there's a couple right here. Here's a used Arri Alexa Classic for $6,500. They're big and heavy and dated and everything, but they have those, everyone always talks about the Arri Alexa skin tones. I don't know if you've seen anything about Arris, you hear people love the skin tones. They love the dynamic range. So in spite of it being an older camera, I actually know guys who, when they get a few $1,000s, instead of buying a mid-range cinema camera or something like that, they'll go and buy this old Arri Alexa because it's an Arri and it's quality, and you're going to get good dynamic range and beautiful skin tones. You need to know what you're getting into because it's older, but $6,500. So there you go. I digress on this a lot. I love kind of the history of these, the cameras, the behind the scenes of these shows, what they shoot on, and that's not to discount the talent involved that goes into these shows too. If you give me this camera, I'm going to need a while to figure it out and figure out how to get a nice image. But then there's guys who, you and I have both seen, different directors, men and women that'll grab this camera and shoot gorgeous stuff with it. They'll grab this phone and shoot gorgeous stuff with it. So don't discount the talent. It's not all gear. It's just fun to look at the gear behind the scenes. Another show that used the VariCam, which we were talking about, the 35, which we looked at earlier, was 13 Reasons Why. They use Leica Summilux lenses on that show. So that's another show using the same camera. How about a Sony show, The Crown? The Crown uses the Sony F55, not to be confused with the FS5, which is much more affordable. Wow, look at this. Let's go to like eBay again. There's an F55 right there for $11,000. There it is, the F55 Cine Alta complete package with RAW recorder. So again, this camera is a little older. When did this come out? 2013, which is why it's come down in price. It's still expensive, $8,000, but it's been out for 7 years at this point. So this is the whole package here. F55, it's got the EVF, batteries, bunch of media, a RAW recorder. So it's always one of those games, right? Like I like to buy a lot of used equipment. If you watched the other Netflix video, you saw a Netflix approved camera that I purchased. I shot a short film on it, thoroughly loved it. It was a Blackmagic camera, and that was cheap enough that it was worth buying it used for me. And when I sold it, I got all my money back. So that's something to consider too. Like it depends on your budget and how you want to go about things. You can always rent stuff a lot cheaper, but you got to find that fine line. Is it better for you to rent it and you know, kind of accumulate a tab? Or is it better with a camera like this, if you can raise $8,000-9,000, buy it, use it, and then sell it? For me, I don't know. I've shot on other Sony stuff. I don't have $8,500 to spend on it, but maybe you raise some money, you do some fundraising for your film. Maybe it'd be worth buying a kit like this used, using it. If you love it, keep it, or sell it afterwards and get your money back. But that was used on the Crown. They also used the vintage Cook lenses, which we took a look at earlier. You can buy them on eBay too. They're expensive, but they are out there. Those are Lomo Cook Speed. Okay, so they're super expensive. Raise a budget or buy a body, rent the lenses, or some people like to own lenses and rent bodies, which may be a better way to go. Lenses hold value, obviously. These are old lenses here. And then you can rent the bodies as the technology in the bodies improve. So we'll take a look at a few more shows and get some more ideas of what they use. I really appreciate you guys being here. Please like and sub. I love hanging out. I love talking in the comments. Let's see what else we can find. How about this one? The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I've never watched it. I know about the show. Maybe some of you have watched it. Let me know what shows are great on Netflix. I will tell you at this moment, I just finished season 2 of Happy with Christopher Maloney, formerly of Law & Order SVU. He is wacky and wild and violent in that show, Happy. It was a wild show, very dark, violent, but also fascinating. I would love to see behind the scenes of that show. If you don't know about it, his daughter has an invisible friend that becomes his invisible friend. It's this cute little cartoon unicorn voiced by Patton Oswalt, and they go on these wild, scary, funny, violent adventures. It's just a wild show. So there's my recommendation. Let me know what I should watch on Netflix. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina was shot on a red helium 8K. We're kind of in the middle range. Like, this isn't a $40,000-50,000 body, but it is expensive. Yeah, there's a Red Epic with helium sensor. Okay, $13,000-15,000. And again, it's expensive for an individual. It's expensive for a one-man band like I like to shoot. But in the cinema camera world, it's not $50,000, $100,000, whatever. $13,000-14,000. So do you want to get a super nice new car, or do you want to get a red helium? That is what they shoot the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on. They use Panavision G series lenses. So they're on Panavision's website. The availability of G series is not very good. They're very popular and tend to be rented, according to Reddit. A couple other shows that use red cameras include that wrestling show Glow. Narcos Mexico uses red cameras. Lost in Space uses a red 8K. I believe the Red Weapon 8K. And of course, Stranger Things. They use some different cameras on different seasons. I think the camera they're using now is the Red Monstro 8K, which is a full frame red with a Monstro price. There you go. $54,000. Monstro 8K on B&H Photo. It's a special order, so you're going to have to inquire. But there's an article from 2017. It was $80,000 when it came out. As you saw up there, there's a couple full compass systems. They've got it down to $54,000. So if you want a full frame red Monstro 8K, you're going to want to rent it. So that's a quick look at a few Netflix shows and what cameras they use, some ideas of lenses. Keep in mind, there are Netflix shows. First of all, there's stuff on Netflix that was shot on much older cameras, shot on film. I know of a couple that were shot on phones. I made a video about shows and movies shot on phones. There is a few shows shot on the original Blackmagic Pocket cinema camera, which they even used as a crash cam on Avengers. There's all sorts of stuff. So don't limit yourself by gear. Don't limit yourself by, oh, I can't afford a Red Monstro 8K. It's $50,000 to $60,000. Just make the stuff you want to make. I appreciate you being here as always. I hope you had fun looking at that stuff as I did. And please like and sub. We'll hang out some more. We'll talk in the comments. This is Ryan saying have a great day. I'll see ya.